Namaskar. So, hi friends. I think I posted some of the videos before. Today, again, I will specifically talk about few things which basically correlates between astrology and puranas or philosophy. It's very important to know this. Um, an astrologer should know the Puranas, and Puranas, those who are basically doing the preaching or doing some sort of a pravachananas, they should be knowing astrology as well, because both go hand in hand. It's not one is separated from the other. But unfortunately, again, as I said earlier, most astrologers do not do this. They just take astrology is just like a mathematical equation. Mesha Rashi to Mina Rashi, say X, Y, Z here and there, and it they just predict something. And please remember, there are hundreds and maybe you can say infinite. I can say. We still do not know how many formulas are there. Okay, so what formula I'm applying to you, I cannot apply the same formula to another person. Okay, that's the reason in astrology, if you see, some people say this astrologer is predicting correctly, but when the other person goes, it doesn't work out. Okay, because they keep tending applying the same kind of formula to each and every person, which is absolutely not correct. Then, how do you know which formula to apply to what person? That requires some sort of a practice, then Japan, then you should be not money oriented. More and more, you should be first human first. Okay, humanism comes first. There's no point in reading all these things, but when somebody is struggling, you are not able to help, or even though you are in a position to help, but still you are not willing to do. So these are all counts. People tend to forget all these basic things and focus only on what I can say theoretical astrologers. Okay, or theoretical astrology. Now coming back to my subject, okay, I'll just give you an example how the Puranas and astrology is closely related. Okay, now you take the case of Abhimanyu. Okay, Abhimanyu is basically a avatar of Buddha. Okay, Buddha represents your maternal uncle. One of the attributes of a Buddha Graha or Mercury is he also represents the maternal uncle. That's the reason he was coached by his maternal uncle Krishna. Okay. Now, if you took go in depth, you can also find that Buddha Graha is controlled by Vishnu. Okay, so that's the reason again Krishna taught him the all the astras, or he was basically a guru. That's one point. Okay. In Krishna also told how a maternal uncle should be. Okay, so whereas he had a maternal uncle by name Kamsa, who was most destructive, whereas Krishna, being the role of a maternal uncle, he taught everything. Okay, to Abhimanyu. I'll come back into the consecutive videos why he did not specifically help Abhimanyu in that in during the Chakravyuha. It's a completely a different topic which will take more in depth into the Mahabharata. Okay, so I'll just pause at this. So you can see the relation between this Buddha and Krishna. Okay, so Buddha is controlled by Vishnu, therefore Krishna was teaching him, and secondly, Buddha also represents maternal uncle, which is again Krishna himself. So he taught. So there are two reasons. If you take the case right, Subhadra, basically whose husband is Arjuna, he could have sent Abhimanyu to Drona himself, from where he taught, but no, it was basically he asked Krishna to teach. So you can see a lot of relationships are there. Okay, um, why Krishna was teaching Buddha, okay, or Abhimanyu. Now let me take the other case. Okay, the other case, um, if you see uh, Drona and Arjuna. Why Drona is very fond of Arjuna? Of course, he was a very skillful archer. Everything is fine. But in astrology, Brihaspati is controlled by Indra. Okay. People tend to also talk about Dakshinamurti. Yes, that is also there. But Dakshinamurti is little bit more hierarchical in terms of um, Indra. Okay, so you can say that Brihaspati is controlled by Indra. Indra is again controlled by Dakshinamurti. So that's the reason Dronacharya, who is an avatar of Brihaspati, was very fond of Arjuna because Arjuna was the avatar of Indra. So you can see that because his own boss is coming, right, so he tend to be more fond of him. So you can see that somewhere correlation is happening there itself. Drona was an, Arjuna was a favorite devotee of Drona because Drona is avatar of a Brihaspati. Brihaspati is in turn controlled by Indra in astrology, and Arjuna is an avatar of Indra. Okay, so that's the other point which I wanted to tell. Now let us come back to a very question. Karna. Karna is avatar of a sun god. Okay. Now, if you typically see, right, he was the greatest astrologer. Okay. Daily he used to do a prashna, and he was well aware that he is a son of a kshatriya. Okay. But people feel that when Krishna came and told, but then he rejected those kind of things. In a way, what Krishna did was just a formality, but it was Karna through his Prashna Shastra, which he used to do daily, was aware that he was a Kshatriya. And the sun god used to directly come to him on a daily basis and advise him what to be done and what not to be done. So he's a Surya, okay, god of sun. He's a Surya avatar. Now, very interesting to see here. In Mahabharata, which is basically related to a lunar dynasty, okay, lunar dynasty means moon, okay, and if you in astrology, moon represents more of a female and specifically mothers. That's the reason you have more importance in Mahabharata for Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi as her mother. Many things are there. So you have a lot of prominence to females. It's not that in Ramayana there was no prominence, but it is predominantly it's the female driven, and because it's a lunar dynasty, and lunar is basically your moon. Now, when sun comes, moon will not be visible. Okay. When moon comes, sun will not be visible. Okay. We know. Okay. Now, if you take the lunar dynasty, Arjuna represents that lunar dynasty. Okay. So as an avatar, he represents more like though he's an avatar of an Indra, he tends to represent a moon because specifically moon has not taken any avatar in one or two cases. Okay, very specific cases. So he tend to represents the Buddha. And if you see this lunar dynasty, right, it starts from the Buddha Graha itself. Okay. Um, Buddha, then from there it starts and finally it continues. Now, since it's a lunar dynasty, sun cannot be there, right? So sun has to go. That's the reason you see Karna going down. Okay, but there are many other reasons. Okay, so yeah, in Mahabharata, everything has multiple reasons. I'm just trying to give one and points to it. Okay, that's the reason Karna went down. You take the case of Ramayana. Ramayana is solar dynasty, correct? And father has sun is the solar means it's sun represents father, okay, and moon represents mother, as I told earlier. if you see in Ramayana, Dasaratha has a major role to play because it's a solar dynasty, and Rama was there. And if you look at the case, Vali was an avatar of an Indra, which basically represents moon, and Sugriva represents sun, which is basically solar dynasty. Okay, which basically represents sun. So when sun is there, moon cannot be there. That's the reason Vali also went down. Okay, whereas Sugriva was there because he represented sun, and Rama was in solar dynasty. You can see the correlation that is happening. Okay, so Ramayana and Mahabharata is basically about talks about your sun and moon itself, solar dynasty and lunar dynasty. Now it's a very important topic which people tend to be ignorant. The topic is related to Karna and Parashurama. So when Karna came to Parashurama, don't you think Parashurama was aware that Karna is basically a Kshatriya? He came as a disguise as a Brahmin. He himself was an avatar of Vishnu. He was well aware. Okay. Then why did he teach him? The reason for teaching him is for two reasons. One, he wanted to tell to the world the talent of Karna. That is first point. And second point is Surya represents Agni Tattva. Okay. So of course, Mars also tends to represent Agni Tattva, but that Mars representation of Agni Tattva is more about a destruction, okay, like killing, burning of a house, those kind of things. Whereas Surya's Agni represents that Agni Tattva represents your lamp, okay, puja items, those kind of Agnis, okay. So Parashurama represents Agni Tattva, or he is the owner of the Agni Tattva, and sun is an Agni Tattva, and he cannot say no to his own disciple who is also who is a Agni Tattva. So since Parashurama controls the Agni Tattva, he taught Karna all the astras and other things. See, people always say that Parashurama given sharp that he should forget and everything. You should also remember that Karna was also given a boon by Parashurama. That boon was, as long as you are not in any adharma, okay, or as long as you are not on the side of adharma, you will remain undefeated. Nobody will be able to defeat you. But the fact is, he went and joined Duryodhana, where again he was on the adharma side. And he also mentions that he specifically mentions Parashurama, don't go and comp- join any competition. Okay. Uh, but again, Surya does exactly the opposite of what Parashurama told. So that also resulted in Karna's downfall. So if you see, right, as I said, it's you have lot of correlations happening in Ramayana and Mahabharata with respect to astrology. So as I said, the solar dynasty, lunar dynasty, sun, moon, and when I say sun, right, in astrology, sun represents father, moon represents mother, and Buddha represents maternal uncle. So many reasons are there. So that's the reason you can see a lot of correlation happening in Mahabharata. I just wanted to make one point. If I think, okay, this sun and the moon, okay, when you called Amavasya, okay, that means both are at the same rashi. When they are in the same Rashi, what happens? Why it is very inauspicious? Unfortunately, in Tamil Nadu, this has become a very bad practice of saying that Amavasya is very good. Okay, I'll tell you the reason. When in Amavasya, sun and moon are together. Okay, what happens? The extreme sun. Okay, when it moon is basically our water, jala tattva also. It starts burning. When water is basically continuously put in a heat, what will it will evaporate, correct? That's one part. The second part, if you take for a agni, if you put water, what will happen? Agni will stop. So they both become powerless. That's the reason children born on Amavasya day has to be doing some parihara itself. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know who initiated this kind of topic in Tamil Nadu. There's absolutely wrong that doing anything auspicious on the Amavasya day is good. Okay, so I think people need to correct this. People need to understand this. Okay. Now I'll come back to one point, important point. Okay, sun represents father, moon represents mother. Okay, so the tithi on the day you are born, okay, determines the kind of relationship that your father and mother had when you were actually conceived. So it's a very important point, and that's the reason you need to always celebrate your birthdays based on tithi, not on nakshatra. Nakshatra related birthday should always be done only with respect to Krishna himself. Only he is allowed. Okay, you should not do any auspicious event or homa on your Janma Nakshatra. Okay? Janma Nakshatra, anything, whatever you do, it will not get fruitified. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comment section. Okay? I'll try to answer it. But I'll be eager to know more questions from you. Okay, and I'll start uploading few more videos for a period of time. Thanks for your time. Namaskar.